Hey, it's Liam, and I want to open today with something a farmer said in a survey that I came across recently. They were asked one simple question: what can you do to be successful in 2026? And their answer stopped me in my tracks. They said, protect cash, defend ROI, and stay flexible long enough to outlast the cycle. I thought about that for a long time, because that farmer didn't say work harder. They didn't say plant more acres. They said stay flexible. And I think that is one of the most important pieces of farming wisdom I've heard in a long time. Because the farmers who are surviving right now, and in some cases actually thriving, are the ones who looked at what the market was telling them and had the courage to pivot. They stopped doing what they had always done and started doing what the numbers were pointing to. That is exactly what we are going to talk about today. Let me paint you a picture of where American agriculture stands right now, because I think context matters before we get into solutions. On one side of the fence, and I mean that almost literally, you have row crop farmers, corn, soybeans, wheat. These are the backbone of American agriculture. These are the crops that families have grown for generations. And right now, a huge portion of those farmers are losing money on every single bushel they sell. Input costs went up, crop prices went down, and that gap has been bleeding farms dry for years. But here is what the economists and the data are showing right now. And I want you to really hear this. On the other side of that fence, something very different is happening. Livestock farmers, particularly cattle producers, are in a comparatively stronger position heading into 2026. Tight cattle supplies across the country combined with solid consumer demand have kept the livestock sector more stable while grain prices collapsed. Hog farmers saw their cash receipts grow nearly 10% last year. Broiler chicken receipts went up too. Now, I'm not telling you to rip up your cornfields tomorrow. That is not what this video is about. But what I am saying is this. If your entire farm income right now depends on one commodity crop at the mercy of global markets you cannot control, you are carrying a risk that you may not fully appreciate yet. And the solution to that risk has a name. It's called diversification. And today, I want to break down exactly what that looks like in the real world. Let me share something that an agricultural economist named David Cole, who has spent decades studying farm finances across America, said recently. He said the ideal number of revenue streams for a farm operation is between 3 and 6. 3 to 6, not 1, not 2. Think about what that means for a moment. If you are a corn and soybean farmer right now, you have 2 revenue streams. Both of them are struggling. Both of them are tied to the same global commodity markets. Both of them go up and down together. But if you add even one more income stream, something that responds to different market forces, something that gives you a different kind of customer, suddenly you have a buffer. When corn prices drop, your third revenue stream doesn't necessarily drop with it. And that buffer is what keeps a farm alive through the bad years. So what does that third, fourth, or fifth income stream actually look like? Let me get specific, because I know vague advice doesn't help anybody. The first and most powerful shift I want to talk about is direct-to-consumer selling. And I want to be honest with you. This one takes work to set up, but the financial payoff can be dramatic. Right now, across Iowa, across the Midwest, across America, farmers who are struggling to make money selling to commodity markets are quietly building second incomes by selling directly to the people who eat their food. Farmers markets, farm stands, community-supported agriculture subscriptions, where customers pay you up front at the beginning of the season and you deliver a box of produce or meat every week. Online farm stores. Here is why this matters so much financially. When you sell corn to a commodity buyer, you get the commodity price, $4.11 a bushel. You have no control over that number. The market sets it, and you take it or leave it. But when you sell directly to a consumer, whether that's pastured eggs, grass-fed beef, heritage breed pork, fresh vegetables, honey, or a dozen other things, you set the price. And that price reflects the real value of what you grew, not what a trading floor in Chicago decided your crop is worth today. The premium for direct-to-consumer farm products is real, and it is significant. Customers at a farmer's market or through a farm subscription are not just buying food. They are buying a connection to where their food comes from. They are buying the story of your farm, and they will pay a meaningful premium for that every single time. The second shift I want to talk about is something that a lot of traditional row crop farmers have never seriously considered. And I think that's a mistake. It's small livestock. Now, when I say small livestock, I'm not talking about building a massive cattle operation overnight. I'm talking about animals that are relatively low cost to get started, have fast turnaround times, and can generate income on a small footprint of land. Meat rabbits, quail, pastured broiler chickens, ducks, even goats for meat or milk. Let me give you a specific example that I think illustrates this well. A single breeding doe rabbit can produce multiple litters per year. Each litter can have 6 to 10 kits. Those kits reach market weight in about 8 weeks. Compare that to a cow, which produces 1 calf per year, and that calf takes 18 months to 2 years to reach market weight. I'm not saying rabbits are better than cattle in every situation, but I am saying that for a farmer who needs cash flow, who needs income coming in regularly, not just once a year at harvest, the math on small livestock is worth taking seriously. Quail are another one I keep coming back to. They start laying eggs in as little as 6 weeks. Their eggs sell for a premium at farmers markets and specialty grocery stores because they are considered a gourmet product. The startup cost is minimal, the space requirement is small, and you can be generating income from quail in a fraction of the time it takes most crops to reach harvest. The third shift, and this one I feel very strongly about, is value-added products. And I think this might be the most underused opportunity in all of American agriculture right now. Here is the core idea when you sell a raw commodity: corn, soybeans, raw milk, raw honey. You are selling the cheapest possible version of what your farm produces. The processing happens somewhere else. The branding happens somewhere else. The markup happens somewhere else, and all of that value goes to someone else. But what if you captured some of that value yourself? A gallon of raw honey at a commodity price might sell for a few dollars a pound, but that same honey, bottled beautifully with a label that tells the story of your farm, infused with lavender or cinnamon, sold at a farmer's market or through your own website, that same honey becomes a premium artisan product that can sell for 3, 4, 5 times the raw commodity price. The same principle applies across almost everything a farm produces. Raw tomatoes become sun-dried tomatoes or artisan pasta sauce. Herbs become essential oils or herbal teas. Corn becomes stone-ground grits or heirloom cornmeal. The processing is often simpler than you think. The startup cost is lower than you expect, and the profit margin is dramatically better than selling raw. Now I want to be honest about something here, because I always want to give you the real picture. Getting into value-added products does require some upfront work. Understanding your state's cottage food laws, possibly getting a licensed kitchen, building a customer base, it is not an overnight solution. But here is my honest opinion. The farms that figure this out, that learn to sell a product instead of a commodity, are going to be in a fundamentally different financial position 5 years from now than the farms that don't. That is not an exaggeration. That is just the math. The fourth thing I want to mention, and this one surprises a lot of people, is agritourism. Agritourism is when your farm becomes an experience that people pay to visit. Pumpkin patches, corn mazes, you pick berry farms, farm stays, hay rides, farm-to-table dinners, educational tours for school groups. I know what some of you are thinking. That sounds like a lot of work for something that isn't really farming, and I understand that reaction completely, but let me give you the financial argument because it is compelling. When a family pays $20 per person to pick berries on your farm, they are doing the harvesting labor for you and paying you for the privilege. When a couple books a farm stay for a weekend, they are paying for the atmosphere and authenticity of your land in a way that has nothing to do with commodity prices. When a group of 30 school children comes for a farm tour, that income came from a completely different economic world than the one that determines corn and soybean prices. Agritourism is not right for every farm, but for farms with scenic land, a family-friendly atmosphere, or something unique to offer, it can be a genuinely significant income stream that is completely insulated from the commodity markets that are causing so much pain right now. Now, I want to bring this back to something practical because I know some of you are sitting there thinking, Liam, this all sounds good, but I don't have the capital to start something new right now. My margins are already tight. How am I supposed to add a whole new enterprise when I'm barely keeping the current one going? And that is a completely fair and honest question. So here is what I would say. You do not have to do everything at once. You do not have to overhaul your entire operation in one season. In fact, I would strongly advise against that. What I am suggesting is this: pick one thing, just one. The smallest possible version of one additional income stream that you could realistically start this year without putting your core operation at risk. Maybe that's 20 meat rabbits. Maybe that's a small table at your local farmer's market once a month selling whatever your farm already produces. Maybe that's one batch of value-added product. 100 jars of farm honey. And see what happens when you sell them directly instead of through a middleman. Start small, learn what works on your specific farm, in your specific market, with your specific customers. Then build from there. The farmers who diversify successfully don't usually do it all at once. They add one thing, make it work, then add another, and before long they have that 3 to 6 revenue streams that the experts say is the sweet spot for farm financial resilience. I want to end today with something I genuinely believe, and I want to say it plainly. The single crop, single revenue stream model of farming is becoming increasingly fragile in the world we are living in right now. Global markets, trade wars, weather volatility, input cost spikes. Any one of these things can devastate a farm that has put all of its eggs in one basket, and right now, American farmers are dealing with all of them at the same time. Diversification is not a trendy idea. It is not something for hobby farmers or small operations. It is a genuine financial survival strategy for 2026 and beyond, and the data backs that up completely. The farms that are going to look back on this difficult period and say we made it through, they will not all have had the best commodity prices. They will not all have had perfect harvests. But I would bet that most of them found a way to bring in income from more than one place. That flexibility, that resilience, is what makes the difference. So, here is your one action this week. I want you to write down every source of income your farm currently has, every single one, and then I want you to write down one thing, just one, that you have thought about adding but never started. That idea has been sitting in the back of your mind for a reason. Maybe this is the season to finally do something about it. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a starting point. I'm Liam. And every week I'm here to give you straight, honest information about the business side of farming. No fluff, no jargon, just real talk from someone who genuinely cares about what happens to American farms. If this gave you something to think about today, share it with a farmer you know, because somewhere out there is someone farming the same crop they farmed for 20 years, losing money on it, and they haven't yet heard that there might be another way. Take care of your farm. Take care of your family. I'll see you in the next one.